أنا اسمي كاترين واسمه ديام. اسمها ميلان. احنا بنشتغل 4 في مركز اسمه مركز الدراسات السكندرية. المركز دوت بتاع دراسات للآثار.
Vous savez ce que c'est?
عارفين يعني ايه دراسة الآثار؟ مين اللي بيدرسوا الآثار؟ علماء الآثار. الاركيولوج، علماء الآثار. بيدرسوا الآثار ازاي؟
The Centre d'études Alexandrines, or CEA, is a unit of the French National Scientific Research Centre. It is an archaeological mission that exists to study the history of Alexandria through excavations, both on land and underwater, as well as through historic documents, maps, and travellers' accounts. In November 2003, 2 young volunteers were sent to the CEA by the French Regional Authority of Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur. 1 year later, an Egyptian youth worker was taken on by the centre in order to extend the scope of the project.
Lorsque j'ai fondé le Centre d'études Alexandrines il y a une quinzaine d'années, donc cette petite équipe du CNRS qui est basée de façon permanente à Alexandrie, c'était pour essayer de sauvegarder ce que l'on pouvait du patrimoine enfoui de la ville en faisant des fouilles de sauvetage. Au bout de quelques années, on a compris qu'il fallait expliquer aux Alexandrins, et particulièrement aux jeunes Alexandrins, la valeur extraordinaire du patrimoine de leur ville. Et c'est pour cela que nous avons fondé un service pédagogique.
Pas très ancien, ça a 100 ans, mais c'est quand même un événement du passé. On a commencé à fouiller sous le niveau de sol actuel et on arrive sur un dallage.
At the same time, the very activities of the Educational Outreach Service lend themselves to linking the other countries of the Mediterranean basin through a shared heritage.
Donc voilà, donc il y a 2 périodes en fait.
Oui. Et cette période est antérieure à celle-ci.
Mylène, Catherine, and Guilhem have much experience of working with children's groups, but they are neither archaeologists nor teachers, and so they must first familiarise themselves with the archaeological methods and the centre's areas of study. And that means they need to talk with the archaeologists, topographers, architects, and other professionals involved.
Là, on en a 2 ici, on imagine qu'il devait y en avoir un 3e en haut. Dans toutes ces sources documentaires qu'on possède décrivant le phare, après le problème c'est de trouver des connexions entre ce qu'on a sur le terrain et puis ces sources.
Each new project developed by the Educational Outreach Service means exchanges and close collaboration with the researchers, who are ever happy to make themselves available and to share their knowledge. How this is then transmitted onto the children can depend on the training and sensibilities of our volunteers. Guilhem, with a literary and a business background, tends more to the oral and will establish a dialogue with the kids. Mylène, as a photographer, is more likely to exploit visual sources, maps, old photos, engravings. And Catherine, who has spent more than a year working with street children in the city, uses her knowledge of Alexandrians and their daily life and concerns. A number of useful tools and activities are created. Educational games, outings, workshops. Quite a few of them turn around the theme of water in Alexandria, an important field of study within the CEA, which has been researching the ancient water delivery system, locating and excavating old cisterns.
Voilà le jeu de l'oie, ou plutôt le jeu de l'eau que nous avons créé. Les joueurs sont des gouttes d'eau du Nil. Ils partent de ces sources pour arriver jusqu'à Alexandrie, dans la gourde de Malek et Soraya.
الخط الأزرق هو النيل، قولوا لي بادي منين؟ بادي من البحر، نازل من البحر، يبقى احنا كده بنشرب ميه مالحه، بتشربوا ميه مالحه؟ لا طبعا. ده بدايه، ماشي. امشوا كده بيه. دي بحيره تانا، بالراحه واحده بس اللي تشاور، شاوري انت معلش. دي بحيره تانا، شاوري. امشي. ستوب. ده ايه؟ خرطوم في عاصمه السودان. وبعد كده طالعين في السودان ومصر نيل كبير قوي. ماشي؟
شيد بالمدينة خزانات ضخمة تحت الأرض لتخزين ماء النيل طوال العام من أجل أن يستفيد كل الاسكندرانيين من ماء الشرب. تلك هي الصهاريج العامة. يا بنتي بقى اقعدي ساكتة. يا رب تجيبيها يا جاسم.
ترجعي. طيب استني، ارجعي للبحر المتوسط.
قلتي لو جبت
رجعيها يا آية.
رجعيها آية. كملي.
He was starting with the questions, what's a cistern? How does a cistern work? That the models were made. Using some plans, a carpenter made us kits of a cistern, a sakya and a shaduf. These are toys, kits to be assembled using instructions created by the centre's architects. The aim is to understand the shift from a plan to a volume, to learn how to read an architectural plan, and to discover the different elements in a construction. It is also important to help the youngsters to rediscover these ingenious mechanisms that were very commonly used by the Egyptians throughout history and are now a part of their heritage. The games played in the Greco-Roman Museum are followed by a tour following the theme of water that is led by the youth workers of the museum's educational department. The children taking part in these activities are enchanted by their discovery of the museum and are full of questions. Visits to archaeological sites are also organised. Here it is the Roman theatre of Alexandria, and the activity is called See, Search and Tell. The kids listen to the story of Alexander the Great, and then, in an interactive fashion, they learn about the theatre, its architecture, its acoustics, its function. This outing continues at the Youth Media Centre of the Biblioteca Alexandrina. There, they search for information on what they have seen and heard. Ancient Alexander the Great, the theatre, and they will later present this information when back at their school.
Là, tu as une représentation du théâtre avec la scène, derrière le mur de scène avec les loges, les gradins, et là tu l'as là aussi.
Do you know why boat floats? How do archaeologists draw underwater? Can you find the site of the lighthouse on these old maps? What do the Greek inscriptions on the blocks of the lighthouse actually mean? Just a few of the questions asked by children that have been included in the teaching trunks conceived and developed by the CEA. Simple experiments that demonstrate the properties of water, as well as the excavation of a shipwreck and that of the lighthouse.
On veut savoir quel est lequel qui marche avec l'eau et qu'on peut écrire sur l'eau. On a porté cette calque, le normal, et on a écrit dans l'eau. Il le déchire. Il déchire. Mais cette calque, oui, on peut l'écrire. Je trouvais, quand j'ai fait l'expérience, que cette calque est très importante pour dessiner les statues et les choses que j'ai découvertes dans l'eau, et ça, on ne le peut pas.
These teaching trunks, of which there are 3 identical versions, are kept in the CEA, at the Biblioteca, and there is one in the Centre de Culture Scientifique, Technique et Industrielle Provence-Mediterranée in Marseille, France. They are completely bilingual, French and Arabic, and have been used with great effect with newly arrived immigrant children in France.
الشغل بتاع العملي كتير الولد بيحبه غير لما انا اقعد احكي في النظري ودرس طويل دروس عريضه، لكن هو بيحب التجارب وان هو يشتغل بايديه. طبعا الولاد اتبسطوا جدا وفرحوا جدا بالفكره دي ويا ريت تتكرر تاني.
Training sessions are regularly offered to teachers, librarians and youth workers so that they might understand the function of these teaching trunks. Thereafter, they can borrow one of them for a few weeks to introduce it to their children's group. The initial results have been very positive. Roughly 50 people have already received the training and more than 2,000 kids have been introduced to the themes of water and archaeology.
ليه احنا كل يوم الصبح بنغسل
Donc nous faisons des formations pour des professeurs ou des animateurs dans le cadre des mâles archéo, mais aussi des formations en interne, que ce soit la participation à des stages, à des colloques ou à des rencontres, ce qui permet de mettre en place des projets communs, de considérablement les enrichir et d'élargir notre réseau, comme par exemple avec le musée de l'Arles et de la Provence antique, le CCSTI Marseille ou les Petits Débrouillards.
In the beginning, the outreach service targeted private French-speaking schools, but quickly, thanks to an agreement with the Egyptian National Education Department, government schools joined in with the program, and that was a great victory. Links were also forged with local associations so that we spread to a wider public. In this way, in 2005, more than 4,000 kids and teenagers participated in the activities of the Educational Outreach Service of the Centre d'études Alexandrines.